I'm Michael Santos with Prison Professors, and today I want to share with you how the government investigation leads to indictments for so many people. I just think that we need to bring more awareness to government investigations and what people can do to avoid behavior that can bring them into a government investigation, but also show them what happens if they get crossed up into an investigation that turns into a white collar crime and a criminal indictment. And one of the ways that I look for that information is by going over here to the Department of Justice's website. So this is, you can find it justice.gov, and on justice.gov you can find all types of news of how the Justice Department is growing its commitment to building our nation's prison system. And one of the ways that they do it is they're really looking at people like this poor fella here. A Utah man and his company are indicted for wildlife trafficking. Here's a Texas physician sentenced on a multi-million-dollar Medicare fraud scream. Here's the president of a commercial flooring company that's pleading guilty to rigging bids. There's just many people that are now going into the justice system. Their liberties at stake. They are going to be facing the challenges of either a judicial proceeding, a sentencing hearing, potentially time in prison. And, I think that a lot of these people, if they had known more about government investigations and how easily their behavior can lead them into a government investigation, they may make different decisions. I opened this case right here, which is 7 charged in connection with a COVID relief fraud scheme involving more than 80 fraudulent loan applications worth approximately $16 million, just because it's local. So that's here from the Central District of California. And you can read the press release, which has already complicated these people's lives because their name now is associated with a crime. And so it'll be difficult for them to continue their business. It'll be difficult for them to move forward with their life. We can read about Amir Aqil, 52 years old, Pardeep Basra, 51. These people are from Houston. Rifat Bajwa, 51, of Richmond, Texas. Mayor Misak, 40, of Cypress, Texas. Mauricio Navia, 41, of Katy, Texas. Richard Ruth of Spring, Texas. And they're all expected to make their appearance before a U.S. magistrate judge, Andrew Edison. And that's the initial appearance. So during the initial appearance, they will go there. They may not have an attorney. If they don't have an attorney on standby, the court will appoint a defense attorney to represent them. But it's really a preliminary matter where the defense attorney is just going to stand up and enter a plea. Ordinarily, it's going to be not guilty while they wait to go through the discovery process. The judge will assess whether these people are good candidates to be released on bail or to be held in pretrial detention. If they are not Americans, there's a good chance they will be held in pretrial detention. If they are Americans and they have led stable lives, then there is a good chance that they may be released for this type of a crime. But what's important, the salient point here, is it's $16 million. So if it's $16 million, you can go to our website and just look at the mitigation section right here, scroll down and just get a pretty good, simple, quick idea of what they're looking at. If I look at this page right here, which I saw by just going to services, mitigation, scroll down, look at federal sentencing guidelines right here, then you can actually see the guidelines table. You can scroll down a little farther. As somebody who's really experienced in sentencing and the federal system and mitigation, I know that these crimes generally start at a level 6, but they increase with these enhancements based on the alleged amount of loss. And here you see it's more than $7 million. It's less than $20 million, which means they're going to increase that by a level of 20. So it's either going to be a 6, 7, or an 8, depending on the statutory maximum. But let's just call it a 7 in the middle. So that would mean they're looking at a level 27, which is exposing these people to 70 to 87 months in prison. This is category 1, right? I'm going to assume they haven't been in trouble before. But that's a lot of time. I mean, 70 to 67 months, just a quick math, that's about 6 to 7 years in federal prison. Of course, there are steps that they can take on mitigation, and we offer a lot of that information for free right here on our website. But let's continue looking at the case here. And it says these defendants allegedly participated in a scheme to capitalize on the pandemic by filing at least 80 fraudulent PPP applications and enriching themselves by $16 million. Oh, wow. So they charged $16 million. Let's just do the quick math on that. But that could be even more cumbersome for them because let's just take 16 million, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 divided by 80. This seems, yeah, that seems not accurate because it says that they made 16 million on 80 loans. I don't imagine anybody paid them $200,000 to fill out one of these fraudulent loans. Generally, those types of businesses might charge $3,000 to $5,000 to help a company put their package together. But it is saying that they're enriching themselves by 16 million, spending it on luxury items such as a Porsche, a Lamborghini. Well, that's not going to help them very much at sentencing if that's accurate. Some fraudsters create the most complicated schemes to steal money from the taxpayers. Just imagine how productive they could be if their creativity and effort went to noble and useful work. Well, hopefully that's something that they'll be able to show that they did do noble and productive work. I just don't know what they did. So if I want to find out what they did, you can scroll down to the bottom here and download the actual indictment. And this is what an indictment looks like. This is what people never want to see. The United States of America versus, and then of course there are these names. This was unsealed on Tuesday of this week, November the 17th. So these people are going to have a pretty tough Thanksgiving. And it's filed in the Southern District of Texas, of course, a pretty a law and order state. And here are the general allegations. These are where they reside. I thought this was in the Central District of California, but it's actually a Texas indictment, Southern District of Texas, Houston Division. So these people are going to be making their initial appearance, or they just made their initial appearance. These are the names of their companies, and these are we're going to find out what they actually did. I assume we're going to get to that section. These are the relevant entities, so those are their businesses that they ran. And you can just scroll down here to the alleged acts it's going to talk about. Here's the PPP. Of course, all of us know about that. We know how much went out, more than $300 billion in PPP funding that was supposed to go to small businesses and keep people employed. And of course, these loans were forgivable under certain circumstances. These are the banks that acted as a go-between to provide the money. And let's see what their actual business model was according to the government. So beginning in around April 2020, I mean just not very long ago, and continuing till October. So we're talking about April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So in 6-7 months, the defendants conspired with an intent to defraud, devised, participated in, executed, and attempted to execute a scheme to defraud the SBA and all these companies to obtain money and property by means of materially false and fraudulent pretenses. This is really important, right? And when you're doing business, you never want to be telling lies or making representations or pretenses or promises that are inaccurate, because a government investigation is going to bring you in and lead you to a crime. And then these are the amounts, the loan amounts that they were able to provide. And these are the loan amounts that are going to get these people in trouble. So these are the actual loan amounts that were given. I don't think that the loan amounts went to those people, although it could have. And very likely these loan amounts went to clients that they probably promised they could get them the money. But it was the purpose of the conspiracy and the scheme for the defendants to unjustly enrich themselves by fraudulently obtaining PPP loans under false and misleading pretenses. So here's the manner and the means of the conspiracy. This is what I think a business leader or somebody who's working for a business needs to know. So the government knows that beginning in around April of 2020 through at least October, they submitted and caused the submission of more than 80 PPP loan applications, including, those are the ones that were listed in paragraph 37. That was the previous one. In support of the loans, the defendants submitted and caused to be submitted false and fraudulent documentation purporting to substantiate the monthly payroll expenses. Okay, here's the fraud. If they didn't have these expenses, they didn't have these assets, and they didn't have this employee count, that's what qualified them for the loans. The supporting docs include false and fraudulent financial statements. They falsely certified in the loan applications that the loans would be used to retain workers and cover payroll expenses and to make mortgage interest payments, lease payments, and utility payments. But in reality, the defendants intended to and did in fact use the loan apps impermissibly for their personal use and benefit. So they got the money under fraudulent pretenses, according to the government, and they didn't use the money for what they said that they would do. And then look at what you have here, what the government investigation revealed. On or about July 7th, they texted. So government investigation, which you've got to remember, every text message you send, every email you send is potentially going to come back to haunt you. Here are the text messages that the government has. Brother, we will need Form 940 for Jonathan Farms. Navia, I'll get them done tomorrow morning. Is that okay, or you need them tonight? What does the yearly have to look like? So they're looking for these types of things. We already did is W3. Tomorrow AM is fine, like 8 a.m. I'll get it done tonight, bro. Sent bro to the email. All quarters 2019 and quarter 1 2020. I think we all needed one 940, not a 941. So these are government forms. And then a PPP loan application on behalf of Jonathan's Farms, which included fraudulent tax documents, including a fraudulent IRS forms, was submitted to the bank to fund a loan for $331,000. The loan application fraudulently represented that Jonathan Farms had 24 employees, when in fact the company didn't have any employees of record. That's a clear fraud. So, you have to know that the government has a vested interest in protecting its programs. And so if somebody makes those types of fraudulent misrepresentation, there's going to be a slew of government agents whose job is to catch this. And they've got an abundance of resources to catch all of this. And now these people are going to have to answer to these allegations. And they have a choice. So the first step is going to be to go for this initial appearance. Then they're going to find a lawyer that's going to represent them. The lawyer is going to offer them an opportunity to say, well, I'm going to charge you $200,000, against a retainer of $600 an hour. And the lawyer then is going to start accumulating billable hours. What are those billable hours? Well, they're going to need to read every one of those text messages, every email. They're going to need to go over all of the tax returns. They're going to probably want to start interviewing people. They are going to want to look at any discovery that the government has accumulated, and the government has accumulated a massive amount of evidence, as anybody can see from these documents here. The government didn't just pull this out of a hat. They've got some level of evidence that's really detailed. On or about June the 30th, and Akil and Ruth texted multiple times regarding opening a bank account for log and sod leasing in order to secure PPP loan before the PPP ended. In these conversations, Akil acknowledged that log and sod leasing, as well as other entities under Ruth's control, were not active entities with actual employees. Then, on or about July the 1st, Akil texted Ruth, "We got extensions in PPP. Let's renew all companies to different people." Yahoo! I meant your shelf companies. So these are companies that are just sitting on a shelf, and they are providing they provided apparently these fraudulent documents that is the government's position. They will get it. So look at here. After receiving PPP loan proceeds from at least 2 fraudulent PPP loans, MISAC recruited additional companies that were used by the defendants to submit false loan apps. On or about July 24th, MISAC texted Akil about new companies he had recruited, sent you 6 different profiles. I told them already for every $100,000 they will get on $33,000. They all agreed. So these guys are actually, probably legitimate business people that saw this, what they considered to be a windfall and an easy money, but they're stealing money. And they may not have recognized it when they started, but at the end of the day, they're looking at significant periods of time in prison right now. And it's something that's going to afflict people all over the country as government investigations increase. So what should they do? Well, they have to make a decision on whether they want to fight this case. And if they're going to fight this case, they need to be thinking about what are the costs. So if this is a conspiracy to commit wire fraud, the statutory max on wire fraud is 20 years. So if they're facing 20 years, that means I believe the category starts at a minimum of 7. It could be 8. But then there will be enhancements. And they've got to think about how this is going to look if they, in fact, did use this money to buy Porsches and Lamborghinis. That doesn't look good in front of a federal judge. And none of this is going to look good in front of a federal judge. Money laundering. It's just a situation where they need to start protecting themselves. And we're going to see wire transfer from an account at Bank 4. So this is how they started dispersing the money, apparently. 50,000, 50,000, 550,000. I mean, that's generally not what would happen if somebody used a genuine loan for the appropriate proceeds. Withdraw from a checking account held in the name of IRS services to purchase a property for $550,000. You know, if this money came from the PPP program, all, of course, that is going to be going back to the government. But this is really what's going to hurt them at sentencing. 2013 Lamborghini Gallardo, purchased on or about June of 2020 and registered to Texas Star Instant Financials. I mean, these things don't look good. So the thought process is it's best to help people understand government investigations and how the Department of Justice is going after them with a vengeance. This is how they feed our country's commitment to mass incarceration. There's an entire ecosystem built around that. That's why we have this program here to help people get better outcomes if they've been targeted by an investigation, sentencing, or prison. And we encourage people to get the information they need very early and learn what their options are, because the attorney is going to charge you quite a bit of money if you choose to go to trial. But in our experience, when the federal government brings a case, there's a good chance that a sentencing hearing is going to follow. We want to show people best possible outcomes, and we hope that you will use our free resources. You could visit, our website. Of course, our Facebook page has information. Today's page, in fact, I just published a podcast, because not everybody has time to watch videos. Not everybody has time to read all of the content we produce, but you could certainly listen while you're driving to work. You could go to our podcast page, which is right here. Just click on that link right up there, and it'll take you to a podcast, and you can listen to it while you're working out. But the more people who understand government investigations, the more people are going to make better decisions and avoid putting themselves in the crosshairs of the Department of Justice, like these poor fellas right here who are not going to be having a very good Thanksgiving holiday. But I hope that you're going to have a better Thanksgiving holiday. And I'm thankful for you watching our program. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit subscribe to the YouTube channel, or like us on Facebook, or subscribe to us on iTunes. If you want to communicate with one of our specialists, reach out. We've got quite a few simple ways that you can get our information, get our newsletter, download our brochure. Just enter your information, and we won't spam you, but we will give you good information that you can use to make better decisions as you move forward. I'm Michael Santos with Prison Professors, and I want to thank you for being a part of our program.